There is sort of a rival biography going on right now because the Dark Side of the Ring is planning on putting out their perspective on the Ultimate Warrior this Thursday. And A&E Biography is putting out, they just put out the biography on the Ultimate Warrior this week. So we're going to see two biographies coming out at about the same time.
Yep.
A&E does theirs on Sundays and Dark Side of the Ring does theirs on Thursdays. When I heard this, I was like, oh, okay, Dark Side of the Ring is going to have a much different perspective. They're going to show a lot of bad stuff. A&E Biography is going to do a glossier, nicer version. I'll be honest, it was a very fair portrayal in my opinion. I thought that it showed that the Ultimate Warrior, Jim Hellwig, showed Ultimate Warrior was someone that a lot of people respect.
This is something really fucked me up, was like, it's Jim Warrior. Well, it's not Jim Hellwig, it's Jim Warrior. Because his daughter's name is Warrior. And I was like, why is he Warrior? And then I'm like,
he legally changed his name to Warrior, and that's right. And he wants to be known as Jim Warrior. But Jim Hellwig, for the purpose of splitting hairs here, Jim Hellwig is a flawed human being. And they did a great job of showing he had this wound. This wound is what was interesting about this narrative that they crafted out of his career and out of his life. Is Jim Hellwig had this wound that was his upbringing. He was picked on. He developed these muscles to try to overcome that he was this outcast. And he went back to his high school and he accepted all of the people that were friends with him, and he took them back and said, here's some champagne that he got. And all the people that didn't have anything to do with him, he made them feel like outcasts. And his father left him at a young age, and that was a wound that affected him. And he grew his entire life trying to overcome this. And he had some nastiness that came out. He was not
absolutely. He hated people. Like I thought like, if I would have known that back, like, mind you, we were kids when the Ultimate Warrior was around, so we just loved his promos and things like that. Like then when they did that Destruction of the Warrior DVD or whatever the fuck it was, we watched it together. I think it was me, you, and Ray watched that together. I watched it with Ray. I watched it with Ray anyways. And then I'm like, okay. And then now if I would have known like he had no father, like all the bad stuff, like the first hour of that biography, I'm like, man, I have so much more respect for him now.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I don't know. I have conflicting views on the Ultimate Warrior, Jim Hellwig or Jim Warrior. I'm not sure that I like him as a person. I like the character that he portrayed, but I think he had some complications in life, and that's sad. He didn't always handle it the best way. He's had some bad choices.
He didn't have anybody to go to and say, what do I do? So he was even said like he was a loner.
Yeah.
Like, so then he's a loner. He doesn't have a father. You know, his mother worked so much to provide for his brothers and sisters. He had nobody.
But okay, let's even revisit this conversation where he goes back to his high school, and the only people he lets be around him are the people that were good to him in high school, and the people that maybe tried to befriend him now he pushed away. Don't you think that comes from a point of bitterness? Like he's holding this bitterness with him, even after he's become a success. He can't even let go of that.
I don't know. I don't think so. And
I don't think so.
Here's the reason why. The guy basically said to him, I will still do it today if I ever get the opportunity. Guys that bullied me or pushed me around in high school, like I see you out and like you're like, hey man, like no, go fuck yourself. You were a bully in high school. Like I don't even need you around. I don't care. Like if you're trying to be nice to me and your kids are around, I'm not going to be like, this guy's a dick. I'm like, hey man, like fuck off. But like if we're at a bar drinking and you walk up to me like, hey man, I've done it before. You were a bully in high school. Fuck you. You didn't give me the time then. You called me this, you called me that. Just go away. All he did was take the people that he was friends with and just said, no, just come on over here. You know what? Fuck everybody else. You want to know? And I mean, that's the good thing on him. He took care of the people that's the true friend. Yeah. That's what that is, because he was like, you know what? Fuck you. You gave me a hard time in high school. These guys stood beside me. Now that I'm the WWF champion or I've made all this money wrestling and I'm worldwide famous, that's what I'm going to stick with are these guys. My buddies. How you doing, man? I haven't seen you in a while, been on the road. Everything good with the wife and kids? I appreciate that more than I do. Like, that's a stud move.
I'll agree 100% that there's sort of like a double-edged sword to him. And he's always seemed a very loyal friend. You hear about when he talks about guys like Randy Savage. when it was not cool to say good things about Randy Savage, he always said he's a great guy. Nothing that anybody ever said. There's been bad things said about Randy Savage. He says not true. Great person, wonderful human being. Had nothing but great things to say about Randy Savage. Then someone like Hulk Hogan, he's always held on to that bitterness. He's held a grudge, and that's the one.
But Hulk Hogan, you just said it perfectly. Hulk Hogan. Nobody likes Hulk Hogan, man. It's coming out now. The guy's a dick. He's fucked over wrestling companies. Not gonna work for me, brother. Like, if you want to go that deep, like I can go all day with that stuff. But like, he's like the Ultimate Warrior hated him and even said I hate Hulk Hogan. Everybody's like, oh, don't say that. He's the hand that feeds. Now that nobody can make money off, like, you can still make money off Hulk Hogan, but you can't make money off Hulk Hogan now. Like, he's not your breadwinner. Like, he's not the top guy. People are like, he's a dick. It's not going to work for me, brother. Like, things like that. Like, it's not going to work.
I'll agree. I'm not saying that it's wrong of him to hold a grudge against people who wronged him. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying there seems to be an underlying current on that entire narrative that Biography did, that he held on to a lot of bitterness until the very end, and then he was able to let go of it and grow and become a whole person, which is great. There's a lot of other things, though, that maybe that wound that I mentioned doesn't excuse, like when he got in front of a college and started saying things like queering doesn't make the world work. That's not easy to forget.
Okay,
that still makes him a bad person.
He could have. He doesn't understand things. Like, I'm not homophobic, but like, and I'm not defending what he said because he said it horribly wrong. Mm-hmm. But like, if you're gay, you need that. You need us to procreate to make more people for you to be gay with. Like, you need straight people to make gay people. So like, you can't hate. But like, what he said was totally ignorant and off. And then his wife standing behind him and saying that, like, but then that's another thing too, is like, he went crazy with Rush Limbaugh, right? Like, far right radio, this is it. And it happens to the left, and the left does it too. They go, this is what's going to happen, and this, and fuck Trump and all this. And I'm like, yeah, you guys fall into do your own research.
I will say that if he was around today, and even a few years ago, I know he was around, but if he was a little more active on social media, and he was one of the first guys to be active on social media, but he sort of let that dwindle in his later years. But if he had softened some of those edges, I think he would have been a very powerful voice on the right wing side of things. I think so too. He was, I actually had followed a lot of Warrior's blogs and his social media early on when social media was starting to come out. And the truth is I was interested in a lot of the things he said, because he's very pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Yeah. And that's very admirable. And that's the sort of thing that's very inspirational to read. But then he got into things like when wrestlers passed away, he would say, well, they were nothing but a drug addict loser or something terrible about.
No. And to be honest, like, his drug of choice, and like the wife even made a comment. The wife made a comment last night, was like, what, he didn't do cocaine with Shawn Michaels? No, and I think so. Like, let's think about that for a second, though. The Shawn Michaels, though, we love. Yeah. We know, like, he's what Shawn Michaels has gone through, and there's no reference to drugs at all. Like, with everybody else before, I think there was, well, except Stone Cold, obviously, but there was drugs involved.
There was definitely references to drugs on Shawn Michaels' biography.
No, but everybody else, but there was no mention on Warriors.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Okay. So like, you watch Pipers and Machos and HBKs, and there's drug references.
He did,
but steroids.
Yeah. Okay.
Steroids, obviously. Yeah. No, he was all natural. Yeah.
Sure,
okay.
Sure.
No, but like, there was no like heavy alcohol, because then people were like, there was a part where it's like, hey, do you have any stories on the road? Like, he was a lone wolf, man. He kind of did his own thing. He wasn't like, he didn't want to hang out. And I think that was his problem, was he was watching guys like cocaine and partying and all this. And he's like, nope, not for me. I got to hit the gym and do my steroids. Like, he obviously had his own vices, but.
Well, I think he did do a little bit of partying. I've heard stories of him doing GHB, which is a bodybuilding drug. And I mean, if you watch some of his promos, it's hard to believe they weren't cocaine fueled at times, at least a little bit.
If he wasn't on cocaine, I think I know how they made cocaine out of his blood. Like, Jesus Christ.
with that said, I mean, my takeaway from this, I thought the biography was good. I thought it did an interesting portrayal of an imperfect person.